Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 3 of Kill la Kill. So yeah, we're still giving this a chance. It hasn't really impressed me too much so far, to be completely honest. And keep in mind, like, as I had said before, I'd seen, like, I don't know, maybe 6 episodes in the past, and now I'm a different person than when I tried to check it out before, but trying to go through it again, it's like I'm still not getting into it as much yet. I think my main issue is still the sexualization of minors, and it's like, and I've tried to ignore it, but I can't, because it's so front and center for the series. It's like, it's a major point of the series. They make an avid point of having that be front and center. So how am I just supposed to ignore it and focus on the other stuff when pretty much the entire series is based around that? And it sucks, because it's like, it's such a terrible thing, but it's again, it's unfortunately super common in Japan for a lot of anime to do, and it's just, even if they're 17 and on the cusp of adulthood, it's still gross. They're still technically children at the moment. It's just, it's gross. And the only kind of solace I have in it is the fact that it's just fiction. And to be fair, these are just, you know, they're drawings. They're not equatable to real life and everything. It's not like trying to say like real life kids should be sexualized or anything. It's just talking. It's just its own thing. So I find some solace in that, but it's still hard to watch just based on my personal morals and ethics and all. It's not something I can just abide by. And that may be me. That may just be me. If you guys can just kind of ignore that aspect of it while enjoying the series, all the kudos to you. But for me, that's a big deal. And it's not like other shows where it's like a character might just be wearing something revealing, or it's just, you know, blatant fan service. It feels ingrained into the very, pun intended, I guess, fabric of this series. This series is so heavily focused on it. It's literally kind of the point. That's the issue here. If it was just fan service, even if it was bad fan service for the sake of fan service, you know, like Tamaki and Fire Force, even if it was just that, I would be less like upset by it. But the fact that it is so integral to the series, it just makes it kind of gross. It just does. And I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna give it another chance or two. At this point, though, I will say it's reaching the boiling point for me. So if it just gets to be too bad to where it's just something I cannot handle, we'll just drop it and go back to Tiger and Bunny. Whether that would happen this episode, next episode, whatever. If that gets to be the case. If it somehow turns itself around, then okay, that's something different. Because at the point I'm at, like, the story and characters and stuff, like, all of that has to start becoming really fucking good in order to take my mind off of the negatives of this series. And because so far, the story and the characters are just kind of meh. Honestly. They're nothing special. Mako's the only character I'm, like, really a fan of at the moment. That's only because I enjoy characters with that level of manic energy. But it's, like, still, it's a lot to handle. And I'm clearly not necessarily the right audience for this series, but we're gonna see how it goes. I'm again, still giving it a chance. We'll see. That being said, we're just gonna get right into this. Why waste any more time, right? So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers. Excuse me. In 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. I'm sorry, but no. It's not even that. It's this episode actually pissed me off. I don't know, like, it probably wasn't clear. I just feel like I was just very quiet during the episode. And for a good portion of it, it was just like, it was just as bad as the rest of it has been so far. But then this episode also had to go into the entire thing about, like, oh no, you shouldn't be embarrassed. You should be proud to get naked. You should accept it. You should be willing to flash your tits, basically, in order to you know, achieve your goals. And that's a questionable thing to say, even if the characters were adults. There's nothing wrong with being comfortable with your sexuality. There's nothing wrong with even wanting to showcase that. Sex workers are valid, and they should be treated as such, and we need to stop having that stigma. But that's only for adults. These are fucking kids. Basically, having the message that a kid should be unashamed of getting naked if it helps her achieve her goals. Which one, what? 2, that's fucking gross and horrifically disgusting and just not okay. Like, there's nothing that makes that okay. There is absolutely nothing that makes that acceptable. That is extremely wrong. Like, a lot of teenagers experiment with their sexuality and stuff. It happens. But trying to, like, send this message almost, that's what this came across as. It came across as trying to send this message that you shouldn't be ashamed of people seeing you naked, and that you should be okay with baring your body to people, even if you're a fucking kid. And it's like, I'm sorry. I know that's what they weren't going for. I'm very sure that that was not what they were going for. Because if that's what they were going for, fuck them. If that was the intent, fuck them. Because anyone who would intentionally try to send that kind of message, and who would intentionally try to say it's okay for a fucking child to bare their bodies for people and not be embarrassed about it just to achieve their goals, it's like any fucking cunts who would say something like that piss me off. And again, I don't think that's what they were trying to say with it, but that's what it came across as. And I understand that this is a goofy, very ridiculous anime that a lot of people will just pass off as saying, like, oh, you shouldn't take it seriously. It's silly, it's ridiculous, it's over the top. You're not supposed to take this seriously. But when things are clearly depicted as if they're supposed to be telling the audience some kind of message, I think there's something more to this. It's not something you could simply wave off and say that it's not meant to be taken seriously. That just doesn't seem to be the case here. And I'm sorry, but I can't get behind that. Even no matter whatever their actual intent was, the writers and creators of this episode really fucking disgusted me. It pissed me off, it disgusted me, and it's just, I can't do this anymore. It's very clear that this show is not for me, but it's also very clear to me that this show shouldn't be for anyone. The way it kind of seemingly glorifies sexualizing children is unquestionably wrong. And again, whether that's their active intent or not, it's still pushing that narrative. And it's still sexualizing children and making it a focal point of the series. Making it important to the series. Not to mention, one of the notable characters in it is this adult man who is very sexually perverted towards a young teenage girl, and it's like, that I cannot stand either. That fucking... If you like this series, that's your prerogative. You're allowed to like whatever you want, and if you find some value in this, good for you, but I can't. I can't even understand how someone could, honestly. No amount of quality animation or music or voice acting or anything like that is going to change the fact that this series comes across as extremely gross and disgusting to me. That this series comes across to me as just absolutely fucked up. And it's like, I can't do it anymore. I don't even know how I made it through 6 episodes all those years ago. Maybe back then I was just more willing to give things a chance and more willing to hold out. But nowadays, I guess I'm not going to be putting up with shit that just makes me extremely uncomfortable and extremely upset. I'm not going to just put up with that shit these days. It's not something I can handle. It's not something I will handle. It's not. I choose to not get involved in that. I can't deal with this series anymore. I gave it 3 episodes. I gave it a chance again. I wanted to give it a fair chance to see if maybe my thoughts on it would have changed after all these years, and because I'm a completely different person than I was back then. But no, honestly, I actually hate it more now. Um, and honestly, I'm happy that I hate it more now because based on what we've gotten in these episodes, I feel like it should be very much hateable. And the fact that I hate it more now than I did then just shows that for me, that I feel I've become a better person than I was then. Just one of the continuing signs of that. Um, but again, if you find some value in this, if you like this series, you're allowed to. But this is clearly not for me. In fact, it's clearly very actively just never going to be for me. I can't handle this series. I can't deal with this. So this is going to be it. Next week we will return to Tiger and Bunny. And I apologize for anyone and everyone who was excited for this series. I know this series just blew everything else away in the poll. But honestly, this was something that I honestly didn't have a lot of faith in anyway. I only put it on the poll because I said I would give this series a second chance. I said I would give it one more shot. And I have done that now. I can move past it and never watch this fucking series again. So, yeah, I'm done with it. We are moving back to Tiger and Bunny, again, right away next week. And we'll tackle that when we get to it, basically. So thank you all so much for understanding. And, yeah, I'm just going to say now, like, you couldn't even pay me to watch this again. Like, this would not even be up for donation rewards. I'm done with this. I'm washing my hands of this series and just not getting involved anymore. I'm done. I'm Connie. See you all next time.